Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about safety in Pakistan. What was my experience traveling around the country for 30 days? You may have noticed I've had a haircut. The man bun is now gone, back to short and curly. To ask the question, is Pakistan safe, is quite a valid one. Unfortunately, there isn't really any quick answer to it. Firstly, the most important thing to understand and acknowledge before you visit the country is that Pakistan is a huge nation. It has a population of over 200 million people, I think the 6th most populated country in the world. There are countless different regions, ethnicities, subcultures, many different provinces with varying political, cultural and social differences. How can you really assess safety in one country when it's so diverse and comprised of so much? That is the biggest issue Pakistan has had with its reputation over the last few decades. If one event happens in the country, the whole nation gets thrown into one stereotype, which isn't really fair. So naturally, with a country of this size and complexity, there are some unsafe areas as well as some perfectly safe areas. So which are the most unsafe areas? Now, I'm not an expert and I didn't travel to these places, but personally, just being straight, I would avoid Balochistan and Quetta. This area is often the most troubled. If you go there, you'll have to have a military escort. You're probably going to have difficulties because if the security see you as a foreigner in that area on your own without anybody, they are going to panic because the tourism industry has slowly been gaining its momentum in the country, and Pakistan has been rebuilding in this new sort of wave of positivity that's overtaken the last year or two with the new Prime Minister Imran Khan and all these great forward notions trying to open Pakistan up to the world. And absolutely the last thing the country wants is an incident involving a tourist. And that's why even if you try and visit some of the areas that we say do not go to, you will have difficulty anyway because they are terrified something will happen to you, and if it does, it'll get all over the mainstream news, and all the work that has been done to rebuild the tourism in Pakistan has been completely it will collapse. I think if we're going to be very general about things, you can pretty much split Pakistan east and west and say east is safe, west is a bit more risky, and some areas are absolutely no-go areas. So if we're sticking to the east side of the country, then I would suggest you begin your trip in one of the two safest cities, either Islamabad, the capital city, or Lahore, the cultural capital of the country. Both of these are quite accustomed to seeing foreigners. You can fly into either of them. Both have big international airports. Visiting these two cities is a good base to start your trip. Get an idea of the life and the feeling of Pakistan. Perhaps you want to live with some local people, and then take your trip north from there. Go to Hunza, Gilgit, Fairy Meadows, a few other places in the north. You can go trekking in those mountains. I think a very safe itinerary would be Lahore, Islamabad, head north, come back and fly out of one of those cities. I think the east side of the country is really quite safe. However, from Lahore, if you work your way south all the way to Karachi, the intensity of the security you will experience is going to increase. For example, in places like Multan, it's going to be harder to just simply stay in a hotel without being bothered by security. The further south you go and the more rural you go, the more questions are probably going to be asked of you in those cities and places. But I would say in the rural places, you're going to be quite safe. Those local people are going to look after you. You're not really going to be in too much trouble. At the very south of the country is the most populated city, Karachi. And I think Karachi is a bit more of a complex situation than Lahore and Islamabad. It has been a hub for gang warfare and violence. Some people may have known this beforehand. It's also had some negative stories in the past. including high-profile foreign kidnappings. However, in recent years, Karachi really has gotten a lot safer, and you can see from my videos that I was completely fine walking around Karachi, although I made sure I was always with someone just to give myself that feeling that I was being looked after, and also to eliminate the possibility of any issues that might come from me being on my own and thus being targeted in any way. There are always going to be people with bad intentions in any huge city. Karachi is no different, but it is much safer than it used to be, and I haven't heard of any stories from all the travel vloggers and bloggers that have been going around Pakistan in Karachi. So Karachi's reputation really has improved leaps and bounds over the last few years. It's somewhere to be a bit more cautious in than Lahore and Islamabad, but also it's somewhere that you shouldn't completely avoid because you don't think it's safe. It's one of those just keep your eyes open sort of places. Going one further than that, I would say more of a riskier place is Peshawar, which is quite close to the Afghan border in the district of KPK. I went there on a day trip with my host from Islamabad. I felt safe. I was with someone for the entire day. We were going in and out of a rickshaw as we toured around the city, and it was a great experience, and Peshawar was one of the best places I visited in Pakistan. The Pashtun culture, the influence of Afghani cuisine, and the British architecture. It was a place that I felt very few travelers had had the chance to set their eyes on, and I really felt appreciative and grateful that I was so lucky to visit where so few others had been. I really recommend that you try and get into Peshawar any way you can. Just make sure you research the city intensely. It has had quite a rotten past with certain terrorist attacks and a horrible shooting in a school a few years back, but the reputation, like Karachi, has been rebuilt. The UK says you should not really visit Peshawar. I ignored it. I was completely fine, but just bear in mind it's somewhere that if you do visit, you really should just be a bit more cautious. Peshawar is one of those places that is not a complete no-go zone for tourists, and you will be greatly rewarded and satisfied having been there. However, it's not 100% safe either. It's one of those orange or grey areas, you can say. So just best to have someone with you. Make sure you read up and do all your homework before you go, and take it from there. Like I said, I think most of the west of the country is really a no-go zone right now. Just don't really bother with trying to get into Balochistan. You will need extra permits, and most likely your time will be wasted by officials, even if you manage to get there. If you do though, you will be one of the very few people to experience the local vibe and markets and the culture of that area, which is so strong and rich. However, it does come at a cost that you'll be putting yourself at quite substantial risk of standing out amongst people. One tip I would give to travelers thinking of visiting Pakistan: if you don't want to stand out and constantly be asked for selfies or even just draw attention to yourself, then wear some of the local clothes. For girls, that means covering your hair, covering your skin. For guys, picking up a shalwar kameez from one of the markets. You will be able to fit in quite well. One of the biggest things to keep in mind in Pakistan is that you cannot act like it's Thailand or Bali, and I worry that when the floodgates open for tourism in this country, that foreigners are going to start treating it as such, and the backpacking scene is going to conflict with the culture of the country. Pakistan is a lot more conservative than other countries that you may have visited, including Islamic ones. And so this is something you need to be aware of and read up on to respect and make sure that you don't get yourself in any trouble. Considering this, we have to be really careful as travelers that we know what we're getting ourselves into when visiting a particular place or displaying a certain behavior. Just make sure, like I said before, you do your homework on safety, do your homework on the courtesy and manners. and conservative nature of the country. For example, in Pashtun culture, when a stranger enters someone's home, it's totally forbidden. Even a male friend cannot go inside your house. Most people in the country are not accustomed to seeing foreigners, certainly not their culture. I do believe that in years gone by, Pakistan has not been a safe destination for international tourists and foreign travelers. However, in 2019, I think the situation has quite dramatically improved, and I'm going to refer to a quote given to me by my German friend who I met on my trip in Pakistan, and he said this: Pakistan does not have a security problem. Pakistan has a problem with its security. By this, he means that now, once things are becoming safer, the security is too intense, they're too overprotective. And you'll only understand what he means by this if you visit the country for yourself, and I can certainly agree with him. Wherever you go in the country, you're likely to be stopped from time to time by security. They'll ask for your passport information, they'll ask where you're traveling, they'll ask where you're staying. They will just probe you, and once you give them all of your answers, they will let you move on. The only thing they will do is waste your time. They will stop you sometimes for 20 minutes to half an hour. When I was going to the Afghan border, which again isn't something that you would typically do as a tourist, but I wanted to film it and make a video of the Afghan-Pakistan border. And on the way, if you saw my Peshawar video, you'll know that we got stopped by security because I was filming out of the car window and I just wanted to grab some shots of the street food. And somehow I managed to film this security guy who was just sitting by the side of the road, and he thought I was filming him, and that was it. Our border trip to Afghanistan was over. We were told to turn around, and there was absolutely no way without a special piece of paper or permission that we would be allowed to go any further. I was even told, don't get out of the car because there are shooters in this area. Now, I think that's a little bit far-fetched, and I think that exactly underlines the issue that is currently going on with security. But in the areas that are a bit more dangerous, the security in Pakistan do an incredible job looking after tourists that are crossing the border from Iran. You actually get a military or police protocol. One extra thing I want to talk about is to be careful with the food. I got quite severely sick after my Lahore street food video, and you'll probably say, well, it's your own fault for eating that many things in one day, and I completely agree with you, it was my fault. But just beware though, if you do have street food and you're not necessarily accustomed to eating things in the subcontinent, if you've not traveled to India or Bangladesh or anywhere where street food sort of exists in Asia before, then really be careful what you're eating and check, is the person on the stall touching what I'm about to put in my mouth with their hands? Are they washing their hands? Are they washing the plates and the food? My sickness was really bad actually. I had severe diarrhea for nearly 2 weeks, and I was going to the toilet literally 10 to 12 times a day, and at times it was pretty bad. I took antibiotic tablets, I took tablets for stomach pain, I was taking this, I think it's called Isbagol, that helps keep everything together. You just put it in a glass of water and it makes it really thick. And additionally, I was also taking ORS, which you just put, it's like a salt solution and electrolytes that keep you hydrated, and you put it in 1 liter of water or something and drink it over the course of an hour or so. That really helps a lot. So if you do ever feel unwell after eating some of the food in Pakistan, you can follow a few of those tips that I've just given you. One thing that you will notice if you travel to the country is just how hospitable the people are. They are from a different planet. What they give to you without expectation of anything in return is the most humbling thing, and especially if you're from a Western country, you will really be shocked by how welcoming and friendly the people are. They will feed you till you cannot eat anymore. They will give you the most comfortable place to sleep. They will look after you. They will drop you off and pick you up from your train station and your bus station. It's just unbelievable the levels that people will go to make you feel comfortable and to show that the Pakistani people are good. And I really hope this came across in my videos. The biggest thing I want to say in this video, the biggest message I want to convey is simply this: Pakistan is safe in some places, Pakistan is not safe in other places. Do not stereotype the country as a whole, and do not write off the country as a whole for traveling. Just pick the areas that are safe and reliable and you will have a wonderful experience. Islamabad, Lahore, the northern mountainous areas, Peshawar on a day trip if you fancy it. If you want to go further south, expect an increase in some security problems, not with the issue of it being dangerous, but more likely you being held up by security. And in Karachi, just keep your eyes open a bit more and make sure you have someone with you. When it comes to the west side of the country, just avoid it in the meantime. Give it 5 more years, see if the security situation improves, and then you can start thinking about that side of the country. I think for now, focus on the areas you haven't been to, the areas that you know are safe, and let's help give Pakistan a positive image going forward. So just before I wrap things up, I want to talk about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online community for creators with more than 25,000 classes. One I think is really useful for me is travel photography. I've been learning how to get the right angles, how to use the right lighting, which lenses and which equipment is best for the different times of day. The first 500 people who use this link will get a 2-month free premium subscription to Skillshare. On top of that, once your 2-month trial ends, you will only be charged $10 a month for your membership. So if you want to take advantage of this opportunity to access Skillshare at a premium price and discount, then please go ahead and get that 2-month free trial and let me know how your experience is. So thank you for watching this video. If you've recently subscribed to my channel and you're Pakistani, I'm very grateful for your support, and I hope you will continue watching my videos as I move on to some different countries. And stay tuned, it won't be too long before I'm back in the northern areas of the country. I'm visiting my next country in just a few days' time after posting this video, so stay tuned to find out where it's going to be, and I'll see you then. Peace.